Oh boy.
Oh God.
I don't know what my only crime was being happy. That's all I did.
I hate you.
Holy shit, Danny.
Do you know why they didn't advertise Punk vs. Moxley longer and why it had a short build? Because Punk agreed to it. And then AEW got a legal letter saying he wasn't doing it and they didn't know if he'd come until Tony put his foot down. There are a lot of nice things I can say about him. And you can absolutely argue his position on Moxley was correct. But you cannot argue he willingly did what he was asked in that scenario. Those are the scathing words from one David Meltzer from a while back in the Wrestling Observer Journal, whatever the fuck, news information. But hi, hey, hello, welcome to Mark It Down production. My name is CM, his name is Punk, and we're here to talk about some wrestling news in relation specifically to one CM Punk, who, you know, I don't know if you know this, but he returned to wrestling like a year and a half ago, and there's been no contention since then. Everything has been smooth sailing, and we're all just eagerly awaiting his return.
It's honestly been kind of boring with just how little there is to talk about this guy.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, you know. He was just wrestled for a year and a half. Everything was great. He put over MJF, and everything was right with the world. He was like, I'm going to take some time off, and I'll come back refreshed and even more excited to be here than I already was. But as Producer Boy is showing, Punk responded to this story today on Instagram in a story like an adult, and he said, sigh. Like, he didn't sigh, he said sigh because there's nothing to indicate that that was an action. But I wasn't cleared to come back to wrestle yet. The plan was to wrestle at the PPV. I sat and listened to Moxley's Rocky 3 idea. I explained I'd never seen a Rocky movie, so I guess someone explained that was specifically a Rocky 3 thing. But I thought the idea sucked, but if the boss wanted to do it, whatever. He said he wouldn't lose to me. I never experienced someone refusing to lose to me. I just laughed. I assume. I asked Tony if this is what he wanted. He said yes. He's the boss, so I said okay, but I need to be cleared first. Pretty understandable. They kept saying it could be a squash, so I didn't need to be cleared. I scoffed at that. I said, my health is more important. Dave Meltzer is a liar. Jericho was a liar and a stooge, and his wife was at the Capitol on January 6th. There were plans, but plans always change, but I'll never put a company above my health. That's what he said verbatim, more or less.
Ever again.
I assume. But with the Jericho inflection, I also assume. So, yeah, this caused a little bit of a ruckus in the wrestling world. Jericho responded with a delete gif because Punk quickly deleted this story, kind of probably understanding that he was probably just a little cranky, probably didn't get his afternoon nap, which we've all been there. So you tweet out some hateful shit about your coworkers, and the only difference is a lot of Punk's coworkers have him on social media. None of my coworkers do. They don't know I satirize them all the time. But
beautifully, I might add.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Very few people understand, but it's the funniest thing in the world to me. And then, not too long ago, Punk put out I'm tired of this shit, or I'm getting too old for this shit, from, whichever Lethal Weapon that infamous line is from. I'm not going to lie, much like Punk's never seen a Rocky movie, I've never seen a Lethal Weapon
really?
movie. Yeah, or a Rocky movie, or a Star Wars movie.
Liar.
No, I swear to God, that's all true. I've never seen any of those franchises.
You've never seen a single Star Wars?
No, who cares? It's just Star Wars. But anyway, we're here to talk about CM Punk specifically. So the guy's he's a little chuffed. He's a little upset. He's a little peeved. The most shocking thing is CM. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that, but again, it's I've never seen an Indiana Jones movie either.
What is?
So I think I seen A League of Their Own though.
All right, good movie. Good movie. I'll take it.
Yeah, I only said that because BX1743, whoever that is, said there's no crying in wrestling, Punk. First of all, there's plenty of crying in wrestling. You just don't cry because you're a sociopath. But Punk is upset. He is responding to a report from Dave Meltzer, and there's a lot to unpack here. So I don't know if you want to talk about this overall as a whole, or if you want to break it down little by little. Fuck, Fightful Select is the best $5 you'll ever spend. Book a dozen stories and all are super hot people. If you don't have $5, steal someone's credit card. I mean, Fightful is really the new young hot wrestling news journalist. But first of all, let's start from the top. Let's break it down piece by piece. I think I don't get that. Was Punk allegedly not being cleared to wrestle yet? So wasn't there a part where didn't Chris Jericho admit that he was kind of sort of asked in a way to wrestle while hurt for AEW a year or two ago?
Jericho, you're saying?
Yeah, before the Blood and Guts match. Didn't he talk about that in his podcast?
I genuinely don't remember. I wouldn't be shocked, and I'm sure Jericho said it as sort of a badge of honor kind of thing because of the old guard mentality of working while hurt to finish the story, as somebody in WWE would say. I'm sure there have been instances. I mean, look at Kenny Omega. How long Kenny wrestled while hurt? He wrestled for a year. It's not true. It's not true. So there are plenty of instances, and this isn't an AEW thing. This is a professional wrestling thing where guys will work hurt because they want to finish the story, or they want to prove how tough they are, or they don't want to lose their momentum, or whatever reason. There is a long, unfortunate history of guys who have worked hurt when they shouldn't have. Punk being chief among them in his run in WWE when he was wrestling with a staph infection. Nearly killed him, unfortunately. So to answer, by the way, before we get into it, to answer JD's question, so Punk just randomly threw a tantrum. What sparked this? He didn't just randomly do this. Dave Meltzer yesterday in his blog was either asked a question or brought up the story because they were covering something else, I'm not entirely sure, about the booking decision of how Moxley versus Punk went.
The squash match specifically.
Yes, thank you, Danny. Specifically the squash match that happened on AEW Dynamite when Jon Moxley was the interim AEW champion and Punk, who was the lineal champion, was coming back from injury. As if you could remember, Jon Moxley pinned CM Punk in a quick, shocking fashion, threw a lot of people off, and a lot of people, even back then, were questioning the booking decision with that. It didn't make sense to a lot of people. It confused a lot of people, and many were questioning what the thought process was, for better or for worse. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, CM Punk gets the title back, beating Jon Moxley in the main event of the pay-per-view. Do you remember what pay-per-view that was? Was it All Out?
No, yeah. Who can remember what pay-per-view that happened at? Because nothing noteworthy happens at that show. If only
there was a punny way to remember.
There's just no way. There's nope, can't think of anything.
It'll come to us, I'm sure. It was really strangely booked. And that's where this conversation, that's where Punk's comments came from in his Instagram post, in which he was responding to Meltzer. Meltzer's original blog entry was that the reason that feud had such a short build-up to it was because Punk had agreed to it, supposedly. This is according to Dave Meltzer.
Yeah, which, by the way, JD, if you were just here on time, I fucking quoted the whole thing, and see, he did not lie. is a man. He stuck to his word.
Look at that date, guys. Look at that date.
Punk has never seen a Rocky movie. Look, man, it's understandable, okay? Not every fucking movie you think is a classic is universally loved. They're not even all universally watched. All right, it happens. I've never
But you're
seen.
not a movie guy in general.
First of all, how dare you? All right, just said I watched The League of Their Own, Shrek 2, The Sandlot, Small Soldiers, Cabin in the Woods, fucking masterpieces over here. What do you? How dare you?
Those are all great films, universally loved.
I've seen a Serbian film. Okay.
Oof. Okay, moving on because I don't want to go down that alleyway.
But anyway, yeah. So, okay, so we could again, none of this. We don't have any facts. We just have various bits and pieces of sides of a story. And all we're doing is rampant speculation on it. And we're going to say some things. We're going to speculate some things. We're going to say some things that will probably end up not being true because we don't have all the information. And we're Americans. So of course, that's all we need to fucking spew shit. Like what we're saying is fact. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to have some fun with this. I don't believe you, producer boy. But anyway, the next interesting part of this I want to talk about is actually what Meltzer said in the report that Punk agreed to do it on the short build, and then AEW got a legal letter saying he wasn't down with it and wasn't doing it.
According to Meltzer.
I'm leaning towards not believing that. But I mean, you know, Punk did sue Colt Cabana, so I guess there is precedence for that sort of thing. But how do you feel about that? What do you think about that?
So I said something earlier in our chat that Eric challenged me on, which is I said, well, maybe Punk's lying in his denial, in his response. And he said, Punk has never lied before. Why would he lie now? And I had to think about it. I don't genuinely know if Punk has ever been caught in a lie. He's definitely been caught embellishing, but surprise, he's a professional wrestler. They all do that. They're all carnies. They all, no matter how much we like them, no matter how much we love them and respect them, they're all carnies and they all embellish from time to time. So that makes me think, if somebody's lying, maybe it's Dave Meltzer. I don't necessarily know that Meltzer was lying. It doesn't seem like...
As much as he just has bad information.
Exactly.
He could just be wrong, not necessarily
absolutely
lying. You know, he could just be saying something he thinks is true that he turns out is not true.
I was being a dick when I said he's never lied, but if you really think about it, he's always been truthful with the fans.
I should have just ended the sentence after dick.
Punk gives his side of the story on things. He's human. He's going to give his perspective. I think it's fair to say Punk sometimes has a very skewed way of looking at things. I don't know if you'd agree on that, but I don't always necessarily... I think Punk is a guy who's been wronged many times in the past, and it's affected how he handles certain situations. And I'd say that goes all the way back to that pay-per-view that we can't come up with the name for.
I want to say Trouble or Nothing.
It might be Live Free or Die Hard.
Trouble or Snuff. I've never seen a Die Hard movie. I've never seen The Sixth Sense.
Random one, but interesting. Oh, no, 2 Bruce Willis movies. Okay.
Have I ever seen a Bruce Willis movie?
Look Who's Talking.
No. He was in a Gorillaz music video. I saw that.
I'll take it.
Yeah, but
yeah, anyway. I think Punk has made a lot of mistakes in this situation. But I also do think a lot of people around him have also made mistakes. I think when it comes to Meltzer, wrong, lying, or not, if I'm CM Punk, I handle this situation a little bit differently.
BX 1743, the greatest Christmas movie ever is actually A Christmas Story, which I've never seen. So,
It's actually Jingle All the Way.
sure. Is that the horror movie? Or no, it's the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he's like pregnant or something.
Not pregnant.
Okay. Well, I've never seen any Arnold Schwarzenegger movie besides like Terminator 1 and 2, I think. But okay, so it's okay. First of all, it is not odd at all that he called out Jericho. Jericho was like the main guy to talk shit about Punk after this and call him a cancer and say they don't need him. And allegedly, again, because almost everything we talk about here is based on reports. This is actually one of the only things that's straight from the horse's mouth. One of the horse's mouth, not the horse that bit someone or not the horse that was attacking a dog, but one of the horse's mouths.
All right, we got to be careful about what we say too, please.
I already said everything we're saying is speculation and we're just having fun here. So, ultimately, it's all a good jest. We're not changing the world here with this shit. But it makes perfect sense to call out Jericho. Jericho sticks his nose in this shit all the time. Because he hasn't talked about any of this shit since. Of course, he's going to take the time to. The same way the Hangman shit was out of left field, but it wasn't for Punk. He'd known about it for a while, and this is his first chance to address it. But I do want to circle on something. Silent Night. That's the one I was thinking of, where it's like a violent Christmas movie. But from Punk's point of view, and again, like, you can go on either side of this, but just as like a microcosm of things, right? Whether you think Punk was wrong or not for that pay-per-view, I want to say de-evolution, but he was angry. A lot of things were bothering him, and he had an outburst. A lot of people have outbursts. I'm not saying it's right. I never want to be in a position where I'm defending toxic masculinity, but I don't think this was that. I think this was just a grumpy old man being a grumpy old man. Yeah. But when you're mad about something, and then because he's in a public eye, and I don't like to defend public figures either, but you're going to get all these people now who are going to use this one thing where he is, for the most part, in the wrong, besides defending a dog's honor. But again, just making jokes here. But you're going to get people who take that and use it to discredit everything he's ever said and to be like, well, actually, WWE was right all along, and that doctor was right for suing him, and he was lying about all that, or he was always this or always that, or, all these other stories because it fits their narrative. They're using it to dispel anything he's ever said or done, or to just prove any point they think they have about him or anything related to the situation, or anyone related to the situation. So when you deal with things like that, where you watch that snowball effect, like, yeah, you're going to fucking just snap eventually and be like, hey, these people are fucking lying. Because that's the problem with stuff like this, where it's like, you can hear something and that something could be false, but you've now heard it and you've had an emotional reaction to it. So now it is your truth and you believe it, even when you're shown otherwise. Perfect example of this. And again, I don't want to get political because I don't think politics are real, but like, there was a fake article about a soda company that was instructing its employees to be less white. And certain demographic of people got really upset about that and outraged, and it wasn't true at all, but it's too late. They've already got mad about it. So now there's no going back, even when presented with truth or proof disproving that what they believe, it's too late. So
at what point, though, do we hold somebody accountable? Because I agree with what you're saying. He's a guy who, at the very least, we could say, feels pushed time and again. Feels like he's had to deal with lies, negative propaganda, slander, all these things. And he decided to stand up for himself. That's his point of view. And on some level, I can respect that. But the problem doesn't necessarily lie with the concept, it's the execution. And I'd say now there are 2 instances of him botching the execution. I was so sure when FTR came. No, I don't know. The Ass Boy is really going to send FTR back. The reality is, Punk screwed up at the media scrum. You know? When he called out Hangman initially in the ring, we were all taken aback by it, but we were all going to let it slide.
I think that was worse than the media scrum, honestly.
I disagree. Personally, I disagree. He called out a lot of people, and he made Tony Khan look bad, in my opinion.
I think he made Tony Khan look bad in the Dynamite thing, too, because he went into... That's the one thing where I'm like, he's 100% wrong. Like, in another context, you can see someone using a public forum like the media scrum to stand up for what they believe is an injustice is a good thing. Granted, most people don't see it that way. Understandably so, but you know, using the TV time where you're trusted to do the thing that's agreed upon and for you to go into business like yourself, that is the most unprofessional thing he did. Media scrums are bullshit. If an athlete is disrespectful to a reporter 9 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10, I'm going to be on that athlete's side because reporters are fucking stupid, bro. I forgot the guy, but there was, I can't even remember the sport now, but I assume it's baseball because I don't think other sports are real. But a reporter was just asking him like how he felt about a loss or something bad or a slump that he was in, and he's like, "What? I feel bad. Of course. What kind of fucking question is that? That's a dumb question." And it's like, yeah, that is a dumb question. So like, I think a media scrum is a less bad setting to be unprofessional than at the job itself. I know the media scrum is an extension of the job. But I'm just saying, in this one case, I think what he did to Hangman is actually worse.
See, but I can at least argue that he was giving Hangman a receipt, and people would have been able to move on from that. As JD said in his comment, he thought it was just part of the story. He thought it was he was able to attribute it to bad booking, not heat. I think would have been.
But again, that's an example of what I was just talking about, where it's like, yeah, you thought it was part of the story, so that informed your opinion and your feelings on it. So now that even though you found out otherwise, well, it's like that's already still how you feel. So like sometimes it's hard for people to get back, and I wasn't using that just to defend Punk. I was also using that to set up the scenario of like how people who don't like Punk are always just going to use this to define whatever they want the truth to be from here on out. Like Punk could literally save a basket full of kittens from a burning orphanage, and people would still be like, oh, well, this happened. Yeah. I get it. Like, why were there kittens in the orphanage and why is he saving the kittens? I mean, I would save the kittens too, but whatever, that's a whole nother philosophical debate we don't have to have right now. But you know what? That's fair. I'm not even saying I'm right on that. I just think like what he did to Hangman was undermining almost as many people, but secretly in a way where he thought he could get away with it because he thought it was above it. Whereas, like, I feel like with the media scrum, he knew what it was more calculated. Like, he knew what he was, no, that's not true. They were both very, very calculated. But, like, he knew the outcome would be a lot worse from the scrum than he thought he would get away with the going into business for himself at that. And he kind of did. He did get away with it.
Did you guys lose this game or did the Jazz win this one?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You see what I mean? Fuck media scrums.
But the problem, the one last point, because I think we should move on from the media scrum. I do think the big issue that I had with the media scrum wasn't how he handled himself with the reporters. It was how he handled himself with Tony. Tony, who, in my opinion, is of that night, he's the one who messed up the biggest. When he told Tony Khan to stop talking because he was handling it, that's bad. That's bad. When you call out people who people don't even know are involved in the story, like Kenny Omega, like the Bucks, it makes it so much bigger. So that's my issue with it. We could continue going back and forth on that, but like I said, we should move more into the present stuff. But my point being, there were many instances in the past where Punk did something unprofessional. Take away how I might feel about the Elite, how I might feel about Hangman, how I might feel about this wrestler, that wrestler, this wrestler. What he did was unprofessional, and he did it multiple times. Today, what happened on Instagram is another instance of being unprofessional, even if he's got the moral high ground. And I feel like this has been a Punk problem for a very long time. He's one of those guys who might have justifiable or understandable grievances, but goes about it in the wrong way and makes it
real quick, JD, I just want to say, first of all, if John Cena and/or Roman Reigns told Vince to shut up, 100% they get away with it. But I, in general, yeah, I understand what you mean. But if one of those two guys told him, all right, here we go. Now we got some opinions in here. Braun Breaker needs to humble this little boy and lecture him like he's a child. It'll take a 2-year rookie who's 20 years younger to teach Punk to be a man. Yes, I said it. Agree with me. I'll wait. I mean, I don't have anything to disagree with that right now. I'll think about it a little bit. But look, man. All right, yeah. So let's get a little back on track here, sort of. Whatever that is. There's no track here, bro. Punk chose this out of nowhere. But yeah, it wasn't clear to wrestle yet. But I personally, I wouldn't be surprised if the letter thing wasn't true. But if it was true, I could see a world where that's possible. Yeah. So I want to dive in to the next chunk of this, where he says that bro, Roman Lesnar kind of have, just not in the way that Punk has. Also, just like say, yeah, I'm not fully defending how Punk handled things because I don't love it per se, but I would say that if you look at this, if you pull back a little bit and look at it in vague terms, it's one independent contractor against a bunch of EVPs and bosses, But anyway, moving on. No time for your rebuttal to that. So the next chunk of this, he said that Moxley refused to lose to him. And it's funny because I watched a video from a channel that never talks about wrestling, because there are no other channels that talk about wrestling, but they talked about this. And a lot of the comments, the top comments, were like, just took that as like, oh yeah, of course, like, and believed him, like, oh wow, that changes things. But then you get a little deeper in this comments, they're like, well, I don't know if I believe that, or just the typical arguments, oh, this baby is crying, like, just let him cry. Like, first of all, babies just don't cry for nothing. For the most part, there's usually a reason.
Sometimes they're just gassy.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's always a great reason, but I'm saying there's usually a reason. But you don't seem like you believe that too much. So do you still feel that way, or how do you feel about the idea that Moxley refused to lose to him? I
think so. Moxley is somebody who is typically very well regarded amongst his peers. He's been noted as being very giving with younger talent. He's been noted as being very dedicated and hardworking. There are instances where he's been called out for when he doesn't care and he appears lazy. But I've never really heard an instance of him being truly difficult to work with and causing problems with creative. So this off the bat seems a little off. Can you think of something?
Yeah, I mean, there's
I can think of the Brock story.
Yeah, also, I mean, it's a little different. He self-admitted was difficult to work with not too long before he left. How he went to get something, constantly went to get the stuff they were renting for him changed because they thought it was garbage.
I mean, admittedly,
and not that. Hey, it being garbage doesn't change the fact that he was making it difficult for them.
But I think there's a difference from working with a guy and saying, I'll take a loss versus, hey, Vince, I don't want to take an injection up my ass this week on TV. I think there are two different levels of, I might be difficult with the writers versus no one's going to want to work me like Bray Wyatt. You know? Not that Bray is difficult to work with.
Just believe in that story, but I understand what you mean.
I'm a proponent of that story.
I mean, I'm just saying, yeah, I'm not saying it's the same. I'm just saying there's some precedence for it. It's something. Also, again, I brought this up in our group chat, but him, Roman, and Seth did march into Vince's office and refused to lose to Cena the pay-per-view before he went to wrestle The Rock. Granted, we all agree with them in that decision, but it is an example of someone refusing to lose. Also, I hate to bring personal stuff into this, not that I would ever do that, but Moxley went through a lot of personal stuff in the last, before like the last year or so. And allegedly he wasn't angry. He was getting like an angry, bitter, tired guy. A lot of the ways you were describing Moxley just now were like, oh, you could literally say all that shit about Punk, except Punk's just a little more angry, like outwardly angry.
Yeah.
I don't find it out of the realm of possibility to believe. But I also don't think that even if it's the case, I don't think that necessarily means Moxley was like callous in doing that. I think him doing that was maybe out of self-preservation, like, hey, like, I want this title reign to count. I think this is the right thing to do. I'm putting my foot down. So maybe he just means it in that way. And because he's angry, he's framing it. He's embellishing, like you were saying earlier, and he's framing it in a way that would make most people perceive Moxley as just being like stubborn about it, whereas he might have just been passionate about it and thought it was the right thing and expressed that. They could have, it could have came across like that, like that could be the situation at hand, but because we're all hot-headed about this and coming in strong, we're all just going to take it to the extreme as it's either the worst thing ever or it's like not true,
I think you nailed it there. I think, again, and this goes back to the initial problems with other people, I think this is a company that has a lot of big egos, a lot of big names, a lot of people with a lot of stake and say in how things go, and they're not used to getting things not their way. I will say there is an aspect of what he said that just seemed like an absolute lie. He wrote in his statement, he's never had somebody refuse to lose to him before. Are you kidding me? He was supposed to go over Taker, and then that got reversed.
Was he?
Depending on who you ask. At one point, yes, he was a shoo-in according to Heyman, and that it's
okay. We're gonna believe Heyman here. I feel like I believe Punk before I believe Heyman,
but I don't even know if Punk denied it.
I've never heard, but like I've never heard that beyond every year when someone's like, oh, that person was supposed to break. I've only really ever believed the Edge and Angle and Orton ones. Because other than like, there was no way he was going to beat Punk or Punk was going to beat him. I never believed that for a second. I'm not that I don't think he shouldn't have, because I would have loved it if he did. But like, that just never seemed feasible or like an idea that was truly ever. Maybe the idea was floated out there because it's probably floated out there almost every year. But I don't even believe that one. I know Taker just recently said he has always been business with Punk and he has respect for him. Crazy timing on Taker for that one. Like, that's good on you.
Seriously.
But I don't know. I don't know about that, but I was thinking, I mean, I'm sure there is somebody though. Like I'm sure there is someone who has refused to lose him before. Maybe Taker not at Mania, but even then there's no way because he was sent like.
I'll put it this way. If The Rock refused to job to Shazam, he refused to job to Punk.
But again, I don't think that was ever. He didn't refuse because that was never presented to him.
That was me being sick.
I know it was a good joke though, but like, because that's a whole other thing that, bro. Man, The Rock outside of WWE really fucking sucks. Holy shit! But like, I just don't. I don't know. I'm sure there is an example, but like, I think that's one that's going to be a point of contention. That's going to be taken out of control, and anyone who hates Mox is just going to use that against him. And anyone who
I do
hates
not
Punk
like
is
that
not going to
tweet.
believe that. AEW fans really hate when Punk gives decided things. Say what you want about Punk. I'll take his accounts over Tony Khan, Chris Jericho, or John Moxley. Only one of those people has a brain, and that's clouded by. I mean, Tony Khan has a brain too. Come on, like.
I mean, granted, if we go back to our intro.
Yeah, it's moving at a mile a minute, but like it's fucking is moving, you know. I look, man. I don't know. I don't have a steadfast opinion on this. I am definitely prone to flinching on any stance I take here, because ultimately, look, I'm laying with cards on the table, you guys. Me and James are both biased, but in the opposite directions. But James way more than me. Like, and I don't even mean that in like a poking fun of you. I just mean you like the Elite more than I like CM Punk.
Fair.
At this point, things obvious. No, he zoomed in. Can't. At this point, things obvious. John Moxley is. I always wondered why he was never pushed. Like, see, this is the kind of shit where it's like,
And
bro,
now
this is
people
what
are
you
turning on
want to
Moxley.
believe. This, like,
Yeah.
I don't think. Funny is that JD is like a couple things I say is like I don't think it's that deep. Where I'm like, I don't think it's that deep in this particular case. But I'm saying this is the kind of stuff that happens psychologically with people in these situations. But like, that's exactly what, bro. At most, Mox had a couple bad ideas and was in the wrong creatively, which is a subjective thing. I was like, bro, there's no way he has his career. Like, oh, because he doesn't like things that he thinks are stupid. Like, cool. That means him and Punk have a lot in common, actually. A week before I got in the ring with John Moxley, was hopping around to let fans know he was cleared. Also, I don't think Tony would go down that route. Like, I mean, like I said, I mean, Jericho may have accidentally lent some credence to that idea, but yeah, I mean, we also don't have a full time. Look, there's the thing. There's so many ways you can go about this, and I think, look, man, I don't think one person is completely wrong here. You know, do you think Punk just randomly hated the Elite? There has to be something that soured the relationship, right? Like that's not just a. But you know what? That relationship could have been sour from the beginning. I think, and again, this is rampant speculation here. I want to know what Chicago Fed did John Moxley dispose of Moxley's made his mission to not only rebuild Hangman, but on screen at least. That's good.
That was really good.
Yeah. Shit, I totally lost my whole thing. That I was.
Ooh, you're getting called out. Oh, maybe
Go
no.
on.
I thought it was you. I think he's actually calling out Punk.
Oh, I mean, dude, aren't you in school, Jay? Like, I feel like you're 15, but shit, I had a whole thing I was gonna go on. What were we just talking about before that tweet specifically?
The extremes.
Oh, because that person with the Moxley stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like people are gonna go too far with there had to be something the Elite did.
Oh yes, yes, that was.
So, but actually, this is one where again, I think this is a Punk thing. I think the Elite were still bitter about the Punk stuff pre-signing to the company. Because I'm sure you remember where there was always that everyone's like, oh, CM Punk's going to come to AEW. They wouldn't be making this company if they weren't having Punk. Or, oh, now they're going to bring Punk in. Now they're going to bring Punk in. And Punk would be like, no, like, you know, they never gave me actual numbers, you know, when he had that whole thing where I was like, that's a situation where I'm like, bro, you sound like a dick right now.
Yep.
But like, I wouldn't blame the Elite for being mad about it. I mean, I would blame them a little bit for carrying it over that long, but you know, so their relationship was fractured before they even got there. But I just wonder what was the tipping point, and we'll never truly get all that information. I don't think. But for who the hell knows? Don't take it too personally. If he insults you, he likes you. That's not always true. I mean, we have this guy Dragoon. Total piece of shit, bro. I hated that guy. Thank God he doesn't show up anymore. You know. But Jay's cool. He's an all right guy. Yeah. So we've covered 3/4 of it. What were you gonna ask?
Do you think what he did today was the right move or warranted?
The right move, absolutely not. Warranted. Who's to say? Probably not. I would say probably not. Like, even if I agree with him, I wouldn't say so, because it just seems it's in response. If you are responding to Dave, I think is warranted, because he's saying something. They're like, "Hey, that paints me in a bad light," and it's not true. James is definitely confirmed. Naomi's gone. Yeah, like.
Alex, we will rejoice. Tell me where you think in the comments. Tell me where you think Naomi's going to land.
I mean, she should just go to. I don't want her in AEW, so let's go to Impact. She's just, I don't know. She's in that Natalia mold to me. She's better than Natalia, obviously, like way better than Natalia. But like, that's not saying much. Like, saying you're way taller than being, on ground level isn't really saying you're very tall. Yeah, I don't know if it was the right move per se, or it just wasn't the right move. But like, responding to Dave's story is fine, and I don't even mind taking the cheap shot at Jericho, because I think I love Jericho, but like I'm starting to not love Jericho the person, but still love Jericho the performer.
Even Jericho the person. I don't remember that top rope spot. I'm going to be honest with you. You know it. My bad. I will say,
no, wasn't it where like Hobbs was like almost like really got hurt because it was like a sloppy fucking.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I just don't really remember it.
Man, that match would be so much better now, but
Alex, I don't control the Twitter. That's our producer boy. If he wants to pull it up, he can, but no promises. I'll see what he can do. But I forgot what I was going to say. God damn it. What was I going to... Oh, in terms of Jericho as a person, he's an enigma as far as I'm concerned. He's shown to be, on occasion, a very giving, caring person. He has donated thousands over the years to people he doesn't even know to help them out of financial situations, if they're medical or not. Oh my God.
Who the fuck? Can we... I'm putting the user in a timeout.
So Jericho has a moral code. Jericho has... It's gonna be so...
yes, community. Perfect. I made a community wrestling meme today. That was a great time.
But yeah, it's wrestling. He has an ego. Dude, when he came back in 2009, what was his Tron? Save us, Y2J. There's a part of him that believes it. There has to be.
Yeah. I don't want to get this too much into a Jericho bashing thing, because I have a weird... I mostly love Jericho. It's like 90%. There's just 10% I wish didn't exist. Yeah, what's up, JD? I feel like you disappeared for a bit, but you didn't miss anything. At all. But I guess hold on, let's see, what else do we have left in this punk stuff? I just laughed. Apparently that's what Tony wanted, so he put his foot down. Look, I want Punk to... I still want him to return.
I do too. I genuinely do. No bullshit, no silliness, no nothing. I think Punk adds a lot to the company. He brings in viewership. people who work with him are going to feel like a big deal. Yes.
That he actually posted that at himself, being like, "Oh, I'm too old for this shit now. I gotta stop it." But yeah,
but I think he adds so much to wherever he is, whether that's WWE, AEW, whatever. He has so much that he could offer and give back. I think even if you are a big Punk fan, a big Punk supporter, I do think he doesn't need to wrestle every week. He doesn't need to wrestle every week. But regardless,
dude's eating mad cupcakes. His body is fine, bro.
he needs to rein himself in. Is his personal bullshit and how he deals with things behind the scenes, is it worth bringing him back? That's, I think, the biggest question to come out of this. And I think there's a limit. I'm willing to put up with shit from a lot of these wrestlers, but I do think there is a limit before you got to wipe your hands, wash him off at some point. But I hope that he can come back. I hope they can do business. I think there is so much you can do with Punk FTR versus Omega and the Bucks. Or even if all 6 men say they can't work together, there's still money to be made off Punk. Just have him play nice, stay in his own locker room.
Also, I'd like to put this in. Everyone grow the fuck up. Punk is wrong, and the Elite, to some extent, are wrong and little baby bitches. But like none of them did anything horrendous. None of them did something so bad that you can't come back from it.
I agree.
Bro, it's all just ego shit and Punk's accusing actually of some more serious stuff, but that's besides that stuff. Those little accusations aside, bro, it's okay to hate your boss. You know,
it's okay to hate your coworkers.
Yeah, it's totally fine, and it's okay to still work with them after that. I hate one of my coworkers, bro. Pedro, you fucking suck, bro. He's like 50. He wouldn't ever come across this, but it's okay, and you still work with them, and you get over it, and you just move on. He didn't do anything like. We're talking about Tessa Blanchard in the gym pack zone earlier.
Nope.
He didn't do anything worse than Tessa Blanchard did.
All 4 men deserved time off. All 4 men deserve time off.
Absolutely, bring in Dr. Shelby. He will solve this problem.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. Keep Brian the fuck away from him.
No, I still want. Look, man, that's the thing. Look, I think the biggest lesson here, and we've talked about it on the regular pod before, but the biggest lesson here was don't wait. Do the cool shit immediately.
The problem is Punk is going to go over Brian.
It doesn't matter who you put Brian against. That person's going over Brian. That's the issue.
Fair.
I zoned out earlier, and I was thinking about that, and I got mad about it again. Oh, it's because of Jericho. When one of the times we're like, fuck Jericho. I'm like, yeah, fuck Jericho. Why did he beat Brian at the pay-per-view? That's so dumb. I was like, you know how much better the story would be with Garcia if Garcia beat Brian, but Jericho couldn't do it?
Yep.
Like, bro, what the fuck? But yeah, ultimately we want Punk back, and most of this stuff is just petty stuff that can easily be talked out if you just communicate, you know?
And I like the Elite side of it, where at least Kenny has said on a couple of instances he just wants everybody to move forward, and he thought this was something that everybody could just work past. Punk sort of reiterated that point too.
Yeah, didn't he, before any of this happened?
A day or two ago, he was talking about a fight between Coco Beware and somebody else.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time.
Where is it? In Jerry Lawler's territory. Lawler separated them. They got over it. They were able to make money together afterwards.
There you go.
Come on.
Just get over it, man. Just Oh my god! Didn't I fucking ban this guy?
It was 5 minutes.
Everyone on the roster, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
God. In a nutshell. The only difference is one of them has a winning record in UFC.
Who was that?
I think his name was Kyle.
What was his name?
Kyle McLaughlin.
Okay. Thank God you said the last name. Anyway, yeah. Ultimately, I think we're all just bring him back. What could go wrong? What could go more wrong? You know, what do you got to lose? But real quick, do you want to talk about? You know what? I'm gonna let you in on a quick secret. Dragoon is a different commenter from earlier in the chat. I won't say which one, but it's BX1743. So real quick, do you want to talk about Naomi? She's officially apparent. She's kind of confirmed she's gone. Someone asked her on Instagram. She's like, no friend. She didn't put the D at the end because it's popular to misspell words and convert that into new youth slang. But do you care?
I mean, yes, because I do think she is a talented individual.
Okay, I want to just real quick, just to this tweet, because Naomi is a good wrestler, but if you're gonna talk about someone being underrated and underappreciated, you shouldn't show the moments where they're like the most appreciated.
Winning championships in their hometown, kind of thing.
Dude, she got a WrestleMania match in her hometown as a champion. She got her own custom belt. She won the Battle Royal in a year where she should not have won it, which is like they always do that, the Women's Battle Royal, when that was the thing. She's had her moments. She just suffers from the same. She's just a victim of her time period. But if she was coming up in this time, she just wouldn't be like. And I don't like comparing people, but like, what does she have over the people that are being pushed over her? You know.
I think she has a certain level of athleticism. I think she has. She is one of those. Bear with me. I'm not comparing her to him in any other way. I think she has that sort of like Jeff Hardy, Darby Allin way of just resonating with a crowd.
I mean, they're both involved with DUIs, so that's an apt comparison.
Well, she wasn't driving, was she?
No, but you know, that's what I said, involved, not have.
Yeah, she sells merch.
Yeah, and that's great. Like, and that's her appeal. And then she was pushed to reflect that. Like, the things went hand in hand.
Interesting question.
Kind of like, okay, wait, hold on. Wait, where's this comment? Kind of like saying that guy driving a Lamborghini is a loser. Bro, I assume every single person driving a Lamborghini is a loser. And I don't just assume, I take that as the honest to God truth. If you're driving a Lambo, you're insecure. And like, you're a small-minded person. And you like Andrew Tate a little bit too much. And, you know, you need to get a life. But yeah, I don't know. I think Naomi was better than people like Natalya, but not better than the Four Horsewomen, and just not better than a lot of the people we have on top now. Like, she should have won the main title, and she did, and that's, you know, that's cool. She got her moment. She doesn't need a.
I think she still has value. I do. I think she still has value. She shouldn't be top of the card anywhere.
That's not slander, by the way. That's just straight fact. Good people don't drive Lamborghinis. They wouldn't cost that much, you know. It's all assholes. 100%. Thank you, Lisa. Someone with comments. I'm sorry, James. You were making a point.
I don't even remember. We kind of really went off the rails there. We don't do tangents here at the Mark It Down podcast, guys.
Oh,
we
you
don't.
said she should, she shouldn't be too high on the card, but she shouldn't. But she's, good and deserves like some sort of pushes, right? Something along those lines.
I think she is a classic case of you could put her at the top of the mid card, bottom of the main event, and you keep her there. Give her a nice tag team title run. Give her maybe. If she's
let
AEW,
let her chase a couple times. Let her chase this main title. Because she's like, I'm sorry to keep comparing it to Natalia. It's just those people who've been there for so long, but like, Naomi's a more credible challenger than Natalia. Every time they put Natalia in a match, I'm like, this is literally a waste of everyone's time. But like, you could put Naomi in that spot, and it's like, I could believe that she could possibly win. So like, she is good in that role, and there is use for her, but like, this isn't like some earth-shattering thing. This is like the equivalent. This is John Morrison. Like, if John Morrison left the company, it's like cool. Like that's good for like Impact or like or some other. Like this isn't earth-shattering. Like she's not gonna move stuff the way that Sasha Monet is.
How good a name would that have been?
Her best credibility is fucking being associated with her and her working out. And that's the thing. No one talks about her when we talk about the walkout. It was always about Sasha / Monet. And what she was doing. She was the news. Like Naomi was the extra part of that. It was Sasha and Naomi. I haven't been paying attention to the comments, but yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's just what sometimes I gatekeep a little bit when people say someone's underrated. Because there's just certain people where I'm like, you can't all think someone's underrated and they're not underrated. But like, no, what's crazy is I liked Naomi at that point. That's when I thought it was Naomi's time. Like now it's like, who cares? Dragoon has a good question here. Who the fuck is Steve Jobs? But yeah, like I don't know. I guess I'm just a hater. What do you think?
A little bit, just a little bit. Like I'm more or less on the same boat as you. Like I don't really need much from her at this point.
Who the hell is Lash? You mean Lashley?
Maybe.
Yeah, Lashley's fine. Like, I like Lashley.
I'm glad you turned around on Lashley. You were anti.
I've never turned around on him. I just think you guys are going a little too far. I'm just trying to rein everyone in a little
trying
bit.
To bring me in. I appreciate that. But yeah, if she showed up in Impact, totally down for her winning the Knockouts title. If she showed up in AEW, totally down for her to challenge Jade Cargill for the TBS title and
lose. Yeah.
Yes.
Is she better than Athena?
I think she's different from Athena. Like I think Athena's better. I think Naomi will put on a more fun match.
I think that's debatable, but actually, I was about to say that's outrageous, but I actually think it's debatable. So that means it could go either way. Because I think Athena has the second best suicide dive besides Darby.
Really?
She's a bullet, man. She's running way too fast out of those ropes. This is wild. And I'm sure there's better, but just my knowledge isn't as limited. Why are you still here, Dragoon? Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I don't want it to. I would hate for it to seem like I don't like Naomi, and I don't. If you that's what you think, you've obviously misunderstood. But I just think this isn't a big deal. Honestly, like she's not gonna move tickets in Japan like Monet is.
I think there's something if she and Mercedes debut as a team somewhere.
Like again, she has to be attached to.
No, I agree, but being a second part of an act doesn't make it any less exciting when that part comes. Like we were just talking about Jericho. I never, ever, ever need to see Jake Hager on his own ever again. I'm good. When he comes out and he says, "I love this hat," it makes me smile. It adds to the Jericho Appreciation Society. I'm happy he's with Jericho in that group. So while I think Naomi has way more value than that, I do think there is something to saying her coming out with Mercedes. Like, let's say AEW decided to start a tag team division for their women. I'm not trying to go down that road.
I understand. That's a great example. Sure. That'd be good.
And the notion of these champions who left WWE and then become the
Stay on topic. Stay on topic.
Would become the inaugural champions in AEW. I think that's fucking incredible. I think that is such a good story, and that's not something Mercedes could do on her own. So, or maybe the two of them join.
Yeah, but isn't there a better partner Mercedes could have?
I mean, who? Bailey?
Yeah,
But Bailey's not, but Bailey's not leaving.
I wouldn't say never. It's always a possibility.
It's always a possibility. I don't see it happening. Wait, what happened?
Should I watch videos of Danny's? But I mean, it could be. It's going to be awesome, but I don't know, because again, this goes back to when we first talked about the walkout. I don't think Naomi walks out without Sasha. I think this is literally, I don't want to say it's her riding her coattails. It's her walking on her coattails. She's not riding, but like, there's no way she leaves otherwise. Her husband's there, a steady paycheck. She's been a discontent person there for a while. I mean, she couldn't hide it. She's one of those people that can't hide it when she's upset about a match outcome while the match is going on or making her entrance. You know, like she's like, I don't know, like she is just a person leaving the company. If she walks out on her own, no one talks about it outside of when it happens. Like, it would almost be equivalent to Gail Kim when she left and no one fucking like batted an eye, and like people talk about it the next day, and that's it. Yeah, I agree. But it's, man, you know what? I'm about to just completely block this Dragoon guy. Is Nick M here?
Right, I saw the wave, but I don't see him in anything that would make me think he's here.
Yeah, I didn't even see the wave. But anyway, yeah, my thing is, I just don't particularly care what she does next. Am I bitter? I just think I have correct opinions, and so you're overrated. Naomi's a little overrated because people think she's underrated. But yeah.
What was this I saw, by the way? Seth's Twitter got hacked?
Yeah, his Twitter got hacked. Of all people, I guess I can't say I'm shocked.
What was on it? Was there anything?
Just like that he was kicked out of the house, and he's Seth, instead of Seth freaking Rollins, he's like Seth financial advisor Rollins, and he's just trying to scam people out of money. You know, hey, he's got to send that kid to college or wrestling college. Real quick idea. Do you want to open a wrestling school but call it a wrestling college so we're more pristine than the other schools?
I feel like that's already a thing in NXT, but I'd be happy to take over. Make it real.
Yeah, but I mean, one college can't be pristine. There has to be, a bunch of colleges.
It's true. There's got to be competition. Unlike us, where we're the only wrestling podcast.
Yeah, it's weird how we have a monopoly.
Right?
on this.
You think we'd have more subscribers?
Hey man, I'm just saying, like last time Seth had social media hacked, it would turned out a lot worse for him. So this is pretty small in the compared. You had a joke. You had a joke, and I'm upset you bit your tongue about it. But I guess yeah, what were you gonna say?
Just gonna comment on this. Let all the wrestlers walk out the first day of WrestleMania. I'll just saying. All the day oneers should walk out on day 2. All the day twoers should walk out on Monday Night Raw.
What do you mean by walk out? Like leave or just walk out to make their entrance?
I think leave.
Why?
It'd be funny. That's what I think they were saying. I think that's what Lisa was saying.
Okay, sorry. I'm very behind on the chat this time because there's no Rev here. Mostly. Do you want to talk shit about Rev real quick since he's not here?
Yeah, just a little bit. I do like Rev.
So he sucks at fantasy sports, right? That's what I've
absolutely.
gathered. Yeah.
Absolutely. He has not won a championship since I've been in a league with him. I have. In fact, some would say I'm the first champ. Not some. Everyone would say it. I'm the first champ of our league. In fact, did you hear the story of during one of our drafts, I accidentally punched him in the face and made him bleed?
Oh my god, that's hilarious because he's so tall, so that's kind of just funny. You really took him down a peg.
I like Superman punched, but not like a Roman or Orange Cassidy Superman punched. I shot up in the air, and it was a complete accident. I was cashing in my Money in the Bank briefcase on him, and damn. I came in last once.
Yeah, first of all, James is the taco of your guys' league.
No.
We
have a taco.
And Rev is Kevin, I think. I don't think Kevin's ever won.
Oof.
So yeah. Anyway, I wonder. Hopefully, he doesn't watch this later. But what else? Yeah, we got the Naomi and the Punk stuff. It's just funny. I feel like that their stories keep coinciding. That's a nice little like. If I was Nick, I'd have you both jumped in an LA Fitness bathroom. First of all, look, I don't want to put everyone and everything on blast, but not all, but about 65% of LA Fitness's clientele are assholes. So, you know, you and
JD actually have something in common. You both worked at the same gym facility in different areas.
Which area did he work in?
That is not for me to dox him.
You can dox him because we didn't say which fitness area it was.
I will say it is a P state.
It is a what? A P state?
A P. Starts with a P.
Pennsylvania, right?
Wow. You're good. You're clever.
I think that's the only one.
If you're able to crack the code, that's on you. I can't help that.
Okay, so he's from Pennsylvania. I gotcha. All right. Cool. Well, I didn't work in one in Pennsylvania, but it's a big planet, so it's very possible. But yeah, LA Fitness is for tools. And then like 40% are like serious people who take fitness seriously and are good at it. But that's not for me to say. That's more for Producer Boy. He's pretty ripped right now. But anyway, there's not much else. Missouri. Yeah, I mean, I just always forget how to spell Missouri, and I'm from Pew, York, so we don't talk about Pew Persey. We pretend it doesn't exist. But yeah, you know what? That being said, I'll probably hypocritically watch a clip of Naomi debuting wherever she debuts. If it's in AEW, That's perfect because she'll get a pop, and then 3 weeks later she'll be on Dark and Elevation, not because of her talent or abilities, but because of AEW.
Yeah.
If she shows up in Impact, I'll be glad to hear about her in the Impact Ring of Honor. And if she goes to Japan, sure, why not? Bring CM Punk back. You know what?
In the chat, do you guys want Punk back in AEW? Do you want him back in wrestling but elsewhere? Or
and where do you want Naomi?
And do you want Naomi back in wrestling? Do you want Naomi in AEW or elsewhere? Let us know in the comments.
Also, for anyone trying to talk about her and Sasha doing things, bro, are you going to be singing that same tune if it was Tamina? If Tamina leaves tomorrow, you'd be like, just put her back, put her with Sasha, put her with Monet. No, I don't think so.
Do you think they could get away with being team bad?
They would be a bad team, so yeah.
Damn, that was fucked up. That was good. Lisa says, yes, Punk. I agree, Lisa. Yes, Punk. Not necessarily yes, Punk's actions, but yes, Punk. I love that image of Punk with the title. Like, I think he only had the title on TV for like 2 weeks in total.
3 if you count the night he lost it.
Fair enough.
I will say the pop is a little bit gone. So that would be gone. Interesting. But if he showed up in WWE, though, you know.
I will say one thing. I think CM Punk is the Zack Snyder of wrestling at this point.
I'm just saying, I said him going back to WWE almost at the same time this comment came in. So, just saying.
Man, I really would love to see Dragoon and Dropkick JD interacting. It's a shame, right? I think they bounce off each other very well.
I don't think so, because I think JD is all right, and this Dragoon guy is a real piece of work, you know?
Real piece of something.
Yeah, we're not in a position where we can. Yeah, exactly. Who cares about? That's my point. I mean, Naomi's like 4 or 5 steps above Tamina, but again, that wouldn't even get you. That's not even a staircase. 4 or 5 steps, you know. Anyway, we're gonna leave because I feel like this chat's gonna go back to being out of hand.
Yeah.
So thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Jay. Everyone else. Good night. Don't drink and drive. Be nice to animals.
Like, subscribe, follow us. A lot's coming out next week, all right? WrestleMania, Multiverse United, Super Card of Honor, Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. You know that's always crazy. Danny's going to have a lot of fun with that. So next week's going to be big. We hope to have you. Please, always fun to have you guys in the comments. You guys have been making these last couple of shows super fun. Thank you. Good night.
Not Dragoon, though.